Now, as we do each Wednesday here on RFL, our legal segment, and it is now in full session. We gather a crack team of attorneys who would normally charge you an arm or leg for this consultation. All we ask is that you watch some commercials. Now, on this panel this week, you got Jim Kasouris. He's a criminal defense attorney in Manhattan, lectures at New York Law School, and a visiting professor at the University of Birmingham in England. He's promised us all a road trip, in fact. Mayo Bartlett focuses on criminal defense and civil rights. He's the former chief of the Bias Crimes Unit at the Westchester County District Attorney's Office. And Mark Furnish as well. Mark, constitutional lawyer, who's argued before the Supreme Court and a professor now at Brooklyn Law. Okay, guys, a lot of people have been focusing because of the last name and some of the facts around the case about the Kerry Kennedy case of driving under the influence, in this case, drugs. She maintains she accidentally grabbed one pill that it turned out to be a sleeping pill when she confused it with a thyroid pill, and now it's before the court. Before we get to the facts of the case, you guys have been in a lot of courtrooms, you know how this works, and we see our good friend Bill Aaronwald there shoulder to shoulder with her, who's usually on the set with us. I'll start with you, Jimmy. Would she be facing a harder or easier time if her last name wasn't Kennedy?
I don't think so. I think this was a case, I mean, she's driving in what apparently was a very reckless manner on the 684. She was stopped. She was alleged to be intoxicated, and she's defending the case. I don't think that they would have proceeded any differently. I don't.
Mayo, I guess for me the question is, accidentally grabbed the wrong pill. You're still impaired. Should it make a difference if I say, hey, I thought I was grabbing orange juice in the morning and all of a sudden I'm drinking a screwdriver instead, versus I thought I was grabbing a thyroid pill and it's a sleeping pill? Does mistake really matter?
Well, when you look at the statute,
I mean, I'm still endangering other drivers.
Right. Well, you still are, but there's no intent there. Now, the question is whether the statute requires intent, and I think that when you look at it, number one, in my opinion, the case is being treated differently because she's a Kennedy. No one else would have the case moved from Bedford to White Plains. Difference is in Bedford, you have a limited jury pool. In White Plains, you get a jury pool throughout all of Westchester County. In reality, if she didn't know that she was taking...
To your point, though, is she getting treated harder or easier because of her last name?
I can't really say that it would be, I can't say that it's either of those, but I can say that the case itself is being prosecuted differently. It wouldn't have been moved to Westchester County Court. And also at the county's expense, we're paying for basically the ability of the press to cover this case so that CNN can come in and cover it. So you're paying overtime, you're having court staff that's now being dedicated to this one case, which happens to be a misdemeanor, by the way. So, but I do think also, if someone happens to give you a drug, and you don't know you're consuming that drug in a glass at a bar, you're not really understanding that you may be impaired, especially with something like the drug that they claim she's taking, Ambien, which may not even manifest itself until a half hour later. So it's a difference than someone who went in and had 4 or 5 drinks or took cocaine or something else and got in the car immediately with the understanding they're going to be driving.
But if you're impaired, Mark, whether it was accidentally or intentionally, isn't it incumbent on you to recognize that you don't have all your facilities and pull over?
Yeah, if you can recognize it. If you took the wrong pill by mistake and you didn't know it, you're incapable of recognizing it. When you're in law school, in your torts class, which is accident and injury law, one of the first hypotheticals you get is you're driving down a road and all of a sudden you sneeze involuntarily and you plow into the next car. Are you morally or legally culpable for that? No, because it's involuntary. If she truly took the wrong pill by accident and the canisters looked identical and she grabbed the wrong one, senseless to punish her, forget about civilly, but certainly not criminally. We don't have, in general, strict liability statutes in this country that punish you regardless of your mental state.
But to Mayo's point, there's one thing if you get drugged in a bar. There's another thing if you don't show enough discretion that you're going to mix your medicines together side by side and you're not going to be careful what you're ingesting. In the end, whether it was intentional or not, other people were on the road and other people could have been hurt, whether it was intentional or otherwise. Shouldn't part of the punishment be on her for not taking the necessary precautions before she ever opened the cap of the pill box?
The bottom line, though, is that it may be stupid, it may be irresponsible, it may be negligent, but the reality of it is if she mistakenly took the wrong pill because, again, they both look the same and she made a stupid mistake, she can't be held criminally liable if she did not intentionally make that decision to do something that would have intoxicated her and thus impaired her. So you're talking about criminal punishment. You're talking about criminal liability. And again, there is no strict liability. There has to be an intentional act, an intent to render yourself incapable of driving.
Generally, you know, there are statutes under which you can be punished for criminal negligence. This isn't one of them. And just quickly to Mayo's point, I actually think she is being singled out and treated worse because of her celebrity, because this is a very, very flimsy case. The incident happened in July of 2012, and they're bringing it to trial now. I can only surmise that they tried to work it out. They didn't buy her explanation, and I do believe that this is a case where her celebrity is working against her.
All right. Fascinating case when we come back. The idea of surveillance. It's real. Listen, 21st century, deal with it. But what if your business is forced to buy surveillance equipment and the police can get it from you without asking? They tell you to turn it over. Is this the new reality of today, or have we crossed over in a whole other area that now we're really talking privacy issues and much more? Stay with us. We'll be right back.